The thought, my hobby is too boring to write about, is doing more damage than you realise. It's not just stopping your newsletter, it's convincing you that your passion isn't worth taking seriously. And once you've got that in your head, it's difficult to shake it off. It doesn't just stop you writing about your hobby. It's sneakier than that. It convinces you that your hobby isn't worth taking seriously at all. And that's a much bigger loss than one unwritten newsletter. Here's the thing though, in all my years proofreading and ghostwriting for people in the hobbies and leisure world, I have never once come across a hobby that was actually boring. Not one. But I have come across plenty of hobbies described in a boring way. That's a completely different problem, and it's one with an actual fix. You might be thinking, that's easy for you to say, you don't know my hobby. Fair enough, I don't know them all yet, but stay with me, because I promise you the pattern's the same every time. Boring as a feeling almost never comes from the hobby itself. It comes from trying to describe the whole thing at once in general terms, the way you describe it to someone who wasn't really listening. Embroidery, stamps, train spotting. Said like that, flatly from a distance, almost everything sounds dull. But nobody who's actually loved train spotting ever talks about it like that. They talk about the specific loco they waited 3 hours in the rain for. The one they nearly missed because they bent down to grab their cup of tea at exactly the wrong moment. That's not boring. That's a story. So, why does this happen? How do we get to the point where we start to talk about our hobbies in a boring way? Because when we're anxious about being judged, we retreat into that sort of vague general version of our hobby. It feels safer, less exposed. Nobody can laugh at, I collect stamps, the way that they might laugh at the actual specific, slightly ridiculous story of the stamp you drove 2 hours across the country for and then left on the roof of your car. That's the real reason that we do this to ourselves. Because we're sitting there thinking, but that specific story feels too small, too personal, too niche. And you know what? My niche is too narrow is almost never true, I promise you. Here's the twist. That one specific tale is exactly the thing that makes someone else go, wait, I feel that too. Nobody bonds over a general description. People bond over a real human moment. In a minute, I'll tell you about an easy way to get started with it all. But first, here's the one thing that I think is so important that it's worth emphasizing. The fix for my hobby is too boring for a newsletter is never to find a more interesting hobby. It's to find the specific moment, the detail, that slightly daft obsession inside the one you've already got. After all, you're interested in it for a reason. That's it. That's the bit where the fog finally lifts. So here's what to do about it today. Don't sit there trying to think up the whole big idea for your next issue. Instead, find that one little story and then go and grab the free New Writer bundle. I've left a link in the description below. The 52 prompts in there are built to dig out exactly this kind of tiny but exciting detail, and I put them together especially for hobby writers like you and me. You know, the sort of thing you'd never think to mention because it feels too small to matter. It matters. It's usually the whole point. Staying stuck in the vague, general version of your hobby costs you more than you think. It costs you the newsletter you never write, sure, but it also means you never quite get to share the bit you actually love the most, that specific bit, with anyone at all. So, boring hobbies don't exist. Only hobbies still waiting for their unique angle to be found. Go and find yours. And if you're still working out what other worries are actually holding you back from writing, this video is the next place to go. If all this feels familiar, I'd love to know what your boring hobby actually is. Drop it in the comments. I reckon you can find an interesting angle on it in a few seconds. Thanks for watching, and as always, The very best of luck with your writing. Cheers.